Hello and welcome to a Voxafrica special. Today I'll be in conversation with Albert Muchanga. He's the Commissioner for Trade and Industries with the African Union. Albert Muchanga, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
This is the first intra-Africa trade fair of its kind on the continent. How important was it to the African Union to be involved in an event such as this?
The African Union got involved because we have what we call the Action Plan on Boosting Intra-African Trade, which was adopted by the heads of state and government in 2012. And it has a number of clusters. One of the clusters is on trade information. And the trade information comes in various forms. Trade fairs, and also coming up with the directories. We're going to set up a Pan-African Trade Observatory, which is going to be an online export and import directory. Now, with respect to trade fairs, when you bring buyers and sellers together, and the sellers come with goods to showcase, you facilitate business-to-business engagement, and out of that engagement, the parties may agree to go into deeper commercial relations. So as a result of this, we agreed that we work with the African Export-Import Bank to start this series, which will be done every 2 years. So this is the first one, and the second one is anticipated to be targeted to be held in 2020. And because of these are very serious trade events, we targeted trade deals of about 25 billion. And already we have gone past that target. The trade deals are now about $27 billion US. And we had targeted 1,000 exhibitors. When we opened, it was 1,086 above target. And so the trade fairs are a very important forum for exchange of information among buyers and sellers.
One of the key things that people have said that intra-Africa trade is so low is because of this lack of information. You mentioned a trade directory. How will that work? How will you be able to gather that data?
Well, member states are going to give us that data, and we have established a mechanism for collection of that data. We are working with the International Trade Center under funding from the European Union to come up with an online portal, which is going to start working next year. It's going to provide not just trade statistics, it's going to also provide import and export opportunities country by country and the prices of all these commodities that are available. So in that way, we'll be able to really get online information on what is available in each and every part of Africa.
On the sidelines of the trade fair, conferences are taking place. One of the key topics of discussion is the implementation and the ratification of the African Continental Free Trade Area. How close are you to getting the 22 ratifications that are needed for you to be able to move forward?
We're very, very close. Let me start by saying that in the history of treaty making in the African Union, on average it takes about 5 years to receive the minimum number of ratifications and make it enter into force. The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is going to be an exception because as I'm talking to you, we have 13 ratifications and we are left with 9. And out of that outstanding number of 9, there are 12 very active processes of approving parliamentary approval in the various parliaments of the member states. So we are confident that when we go to the summit in February 2019, we have reached the threshold of 22, so it will be done within a year.
That's in the next 2 months, we're in December. So in the next 2 months, you're hopeful that you'll be able to get the 9 ratifications. Africa's largest economy, Nigeria, is yet to sign. What's holding them back?
The government of Nigeria is committed to signing. And one of the indicators of that is that the Nigerian has come with one of the largest number of exhibitors at this trade fair. And they've also come with a lot of goods to showcase. If they are not committed, they would not have participated in the African Continental Free Trade Area. So this is a very visible sign that they are very, very committed. And we've had discussions with the Nigerian authorities at the level of the head of state and government. The chairperson of the commission went there, I joined him. We had the negotiations, and we are very much assured that they are going to sign. So what they are doing now is to do the last study, the study on their readiness to sign. And that study is going to be finalized towards the end of January. So it's possible that come February 2019, they should be able to sign. But they are very committed.
What will the AU put in place to make sure traders are paid on time once the AfCFTA is implemented? Will there be a payment settlement platform?
Yes, we are working with the African Export-Import Bank to set up a digital payments and settlement system, which is going to work at 2 levels. The first level will be daily operations, which are going to be settled in local currency, because there will be a lot of trade flows across countries. Then at the end of the year, we do net settlements in foreign exchange. So it will only be towards the end of the year that countries in deficit will have to transfer foreign exchange to the countries in surplus. So it's going to be very, very effective. And because this is an online system, I think it's going to really de-risk the market. People will be very, very confident to send out the goods knowing that they'll get payment on time and in full.
You mentioned that a lack of information is one of the key reasons why intra-Africa trade is so low, but a lack of infrastructure is also a reason. The African Development Bank say that $130 billion to $170 billion is needed each year to close that gap. Where will that money come from to create that infrastructure that's needed?
That figure is very, very true. But another issue that is often not looked after is that when you look across Africa, you've got pension funds, you've got sovereign wealth funds, who are holding on to a lot of money because they don't see opportunities for investment. Now that we have created the African Continental Free Trade Area with a large market and the potential of really enabling large-scale investments, we foresee a situation where they'll be able to commit their funds to undertake either as private entities or under public-private engagements to invest in infrastructure development across Africa. And we've teamed up with the business people, the Afro champions, to mobilize that source of funding. So funding is available. I think the opportunities are the ones which were not very much available. It was very difficult in the past to come up with robust inter-country connections because the markets were isolated. Now that they're integrated, it makes it meaningful to come up with a set of inter-country connections across the continent.
With a population of over 1 billion people, 60% of them are under the age of 25. What's the AU planning to help mobilize the youth on the continent?
Well, the African Continental Free Trade Area is part of the process because what do the youth want? Decent opportunities. And they see those decent opportunities when they go on social media. And if what is not in Africa is available elsewhere, you see attempts to emigrate. And a lot of our youth have done that. And quite a majority of them, the experience has been very, very unfavorable. So the African Continental Free Trade Area is going to promote that. Because tied to that, we have a small and medium enterprise strategy, which was going to go to the summit in the next 2 months. And we also signed, not too long ago, a memorandum of understanding on the development of a continental platform on e-commerce, where we're going to mobilize the youth to engage in small and medium enterprises. And when it's operation next year, we aim to mobilize about 600,000 of them. And when we do that, multiply by 5, each one of them employs 5 people. Almost 3 million jobs will be created. So these are some of the opportunities that we are offering. And we are also in discussion with several partners to come up with the startup funds for our youth so that they go into business. Training is a very important part of it. So we're also engaging with the partners to ensure that we provide adequate skills to our youth. So quite a large array of initiatives. And of course, there are private entities also doing it on their own. A good example is the Ton El Melo. The Ton El Melo Foundation has an entrepreneur program where annually they are able to graduate about 1,000 young people to go into business. And it's so popular that when they open the applications for the program for the following year, you get about 151,000 applications, and they only admit 1,000. So it's a high quality program.
You mentioned that a lack of information is one of the key reasons why intra-Africa trade is so low, but a lack of infrastructure is also a reason. The African Development Bank say that $130 billion to $170 billion is needed each year to close that gap. Where will that money come from to create that infrastructure that's needed?
Before I answer that question, let me say I expected it. There are two questions which are normally asked. The first one you already asked, the Nigerian question. The second one is what you have asked. And usually I go back to history. I tell people to say, let's go back to history. When we were fighting for independence, we were not born. We are the foremothers and the forefathers. They did not say, where are we going to get the money to fight for independence? If they had done that, we are not going to be independent. So when you have a vision, opportunities come up. And when the opportunities come up, you find very innovative ways of mobilizing resources. And by creating this large market, we're going to attract large-scale investments from both within Africa and outside Africa. Immediately we created this market, the African private sector linked up with us to say, can we have a more close working relationship? And we agreed. And out of that, we had the intra-African Continental Free Trade Area Business Forum, which was held in Kigali, a day before the agreement was opened for signature. And they mobilized $1 million to assist us in the advocacy for fast ratification. And that is already working. And not too long ago, we were in Germany, and they told us that you have given us what we want. We want a large scale market. And Volkswagen is now ready to invest in Africa. And if everything goes very well, what we want is a situation where we can be producing 1 million units in a given year. So when the opportunities are there, the money will come.
The African Union's Agenda 2063 strategy is focused on moving away from natural resources and commodities on the continent. How will this be realized?
Well, what we call the commodities strategy is under formulation, and we are almost finalizing it. And it covers the sectors of mining, agriculture, and energy. And through the commodity strategy, we are going to promote value addition. And it makes sense now because when we liberalize trade among ourselves, the only opportunity really is to go into value addition. So on that basis, we are going to promote the development of regional value chains across Africa so that we produce intermediate and the final goods for trading within the African market and outside. So, and the commodity strategy is why among those we call the flagship projects of Agenda 2063. We are going to have it delivered by February next year. Another one is the African Continental Free Trade Area. We have delivered on that one. Then the single African air transport market, which is opening up skies for Africa. We've delivered on that one. Then the protocol on the free movement of persons, right of residence and right of establishment, that has been delivered. So altogether, we are delivering at about 5 to 4 flagship projects out of 12, which is not very bad because we started working as a commission, new commission, in March last year. So we are very happy with the results.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.